Hey guys, this is Logan, Jay, and Anthony here with ProGamerSnobGuys. We're here to bring you a review about Outlast, a new survival horror game. Looked really interesting and a really cool opening trailer, so I had to try it. You can pick it up about $20 on Steam. Anthony, how you doing today?
I'm doing alright.
Well, that's good. Alright, so this is a game about, you're basically a reporter. You show up off of a hot tip to an insane asylum, right? Just a little typical mansion type setting, which, funny enough, in a video game is not that cliche. It would be if it was a movie, right? A horror game in an insane asylum, but you don't actually see that many games taking place here. And of course, the crazies have kind of overrun the place. There's entrails everywhere, and the shit's hit the fan. And you can't attack or anything. You just have to run for your life and find provisions, which basically consist of just batteries for your camcorder. Very minimalist, very few controls. Very interesting game. Let's just be direct, Anthony. Overall, good or bad in your book?
Overall, I would say it was pretty good. I would say for $20, that's it's not bad. Most games, of course, are obviously very expensive nowadays, but I would say if you were going to buy it, either wait for a sale or just go ahead and pick it up.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's just keep this really simple and go into just some pros and cons, some things we liked and didn't like. First thing I really loved was the environment, the insane asylum. I thought it was really cool. I liked all the different areas. The game doesn't take place in very many areas. I think there's not to give any spoilers away, but there's an underground facility in the asylum that's basically it, unless I'm forgetting about something.
There's kind of
sewers.
Yeah, there's a sewer area.
Yeah,
kind of.
They're all really good environments. I mean, to me, a really high point of the game was when you actually go out into the cell block and see all the inmates, in the cells and rattling their bars and everything. It really kind of rattles you, right? It's kind of a scary moment, and I love the setting. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, the setting was really good. It was pretty detailed as well. There are a couple of things that kind of throw you off. I don't know if you noticed it, but there are several phones that are just off the hook making a beeping noise.
Yeah.
That was a little strange. But no, everything was pretty good. There was good fog effects. I actually didn't like the underground facility that much.
You didn't? Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Well, yeah, that's fair enough. I thought they really nailed it. Really interesting. There's a courtyard you can explore for a little while, but mostly it's kind of inside and kind of cramped locations. Right. There's lockers you can hide in. Not much you can do. I mean, the controls are basically run, jump, crouch. The left mouse button interacts, does everything. The right mouse button brings up your camera. Which, let's talk about the camera. The camera really only functions in two ways. It allows, three ways. It allows you to zoom, use night vision, and there's a little cheap aspect where he takes notes if you're looking at the thing at the right time with the camera.
Yeah.
It's kind of stupid because it's stuff that you have just seen. It's kind of not that. It's kind of pointless, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess what they were going for with that was trying to get you to know who the character is you're playing, I guess. Yeah, but his notes are very short. They're very...
It's literally like he sees a big bad guy and he writes down, "I'm so scared."
Yeah, I think when you see that big bad guy, he's like, that's a big motherfucker, and that's really about it. It's yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. You don't really get a sense of who you're playing as, and in contrast, this game is, of course, very much like Amnesia. And in Amnesia, the main character that you play drops notes and, for you to read so that you can remember who you are. And there's actually an interesting little arc there. And it was infinitely more interesting than this game's protagonist, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's a little gameplay element that felt a bit underwhelming. It's nowhere near the visor system in Metroid Prime or anything like that. It's not going to add that much. But this is the pros section, so we're kind of getting off topic. Anyway, so I love the environment. It was really cool. Always felt really neat to be in that environment. Another thing I really like, the characters, enemies / characters in the game. There's several of them, and there's the big Iraq war vet guy that kind of the nemesis of the game if this was like Resident Evil or something. But
I totally forgot he was an Iraqi war guy.
yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, he was pretty cool. He's just this big guy that you have no chance of actually hurting him or really any of the people in the game. But there's this crazy doctor guy, and I loved him.
Yeah.
I thought he was an amazing character because, I don't know, does he really think he's a doctor operating on patients? I think he does. I think that's the scary thing about him. He really thinks he's still a doctor. And now that the shit has hit the fan, there's no security. He's free to just slice and dice people up as he wants, and he thinks he's really doing it for medical reasons, and that's pretty terrifying. It's a really cool movie.
Yeah, that character was a very, very much a high point of the game, and I think that comes in pretty like 30-35% of the game. It was really, really, really nice.
Yeah. What the designers are trying to say, artistically about this guy who thinks he's doing things for the best, thinks he knows what's best, and is actually hurting people and killing them.
Yeah.
Could that be about our government, maybe? I don't know. But, all artsy fartsiness aside, he was just a cool character. And,
Yeah.
I don't know, any more pros, Dad?
Let me think. I actually liked the camera, the way the night vision would add like a blurry effect, as most cameras would. Because they just don't have that. What do they call it? Pixel by pixel. I don't know what they call it, but
sure.
I thought that was really nice. Like especially the when the eyes would glow. Yeah. I took many screenshots from that game that were very, very good.
Yeah, no, I like the night vision goggles camera. I don't know. What do you think about the batteries? Having to find batteries.
Well, I think that's going to be more of a pro or a con coming up.
Yeah. Well, we can get into the cons, I guess, unless you have any other pros to add.
No, not really.
Okay. Cons. Yeah, battery. It's if you play on normal difficulty, which I did. You find enough batteries.
I forgot that there was a difficulty selection.
Yeah, there's a difficulty selection. I don't really know. What did you play it on?
I just clicked play, so I guess I just played it on whatever was, okay. I guess, normal.
Probably normal. And there's batteries, but there were even times when I would search an area and there wouldn't be any batteries, and I would run around and I would start to get low and I'd come back and there was a battery there. I think the game may actually generate batteries. I don't know. It's not super easy. You can start to get low and it gets a little tense, not being able to see in the dark, but there's enough. There's definitely enough for you.
Yeah, I definitely had zero problems with batteries. In fact, there were close to about halfway through the game, I had max, and that was, there were many times I accidentally pushed the R button to reload a battery. I wasted 5 or 6 batteries doing that, probably more, and there was still enough to go around. And yeah, something like that should really throw in more tension, and that does not happen. And maybe I'll try and play it through on a harder difficulty now that I know about that and see if that will have an effect.
Yeah. I just felt like it was a little bit superfluous. Could have been a little bit better. But yeah, gameplay overall. We've talked about this. You personally kind of knew what you were expecting going into it. I don't know. I would have liked. I felt the game was extremely linear, and I would definitely put that down as a con. I just thought it was just so linear.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's like you were saying. It's I knew when I was getting into them, and you didn't so much. But yeah, I guess having branching paths would have been nice. Now that I think about it.
Well, I just felt like I was, having a carrot dangled in front of me the whole way, basically. And there's kind of one way to do everything. And I don't know. Personally, I think if they make a sequel, it'd be nice to have some strategy, some kind of strategy involved with how you take on enemies. Because there's literally one way. You sneak around and then you roam and you get caught. And that's it. And I was just terrified that there would be a ton of QuickTime events. Luckily, there weren't that many, because I hate them. I know you kind of like them, but I hate them.
Yeah. Speaking of running away from enemies, it is entirely possible to just... I don't want to give away any spoilers, but there's one point in the game where you have 3 guys chasing you, and I completely forgot how I got into that area, and you basically leave the same way you came in, and I just kept running back and forth and back and forth, and I mean they would hit me when I ran past them, but other than that, like I was untouchable. I mean you can outrun enemies in this game quite easily, and you know, again, to contrast Amnesia, enemies can and will catch up with you.
Yeah, and your health regenerates really quickly too in the game.
Yeah.
That to me just kind of furthers the point of the carrot dangling. It's like, well, the designers just want you to win. They just want you to get past this part. And but some pretty cool puzzle parts though. Now that I think about it, it's not always really apparent what the right way out is. In those running situations. Not to really give away too much, but
right.
So pretty linear. Okay. Here's a good section for the cons. Not to give away too much, but there's a supernatural element to the game that comes about. I don't think this is giving away too much, but there's a ghost that you have to deal with, and it feels just totally not with the spirit. Well, that's a shitty pun. But not with the spirit of the rest of the game, because oh man, there's a ghost all of a sudden. Ooh,
yeah, that comes in fairly late into the game too, and it just feels like it was kind of crammed in there. And yeah, because the whole point, you know, a lot of the fear, I guess, that you would feel in the game comes from, you know, it feels realistic. You know, we do have insane asylums in the real world. There were experiments done on people, and you know, there was a realistic aspect to it, so you could empathize with it much easier. And when they put the ghost in there, I mean, there's nothing wrong with supernatural horror games, but when it was put in there seemingly at the last minute, I just had this feeling like, oh, yeah, like that was. Oh, that's just what it felt like.
Not to mention, most of the game is pretty scary. I mean, I personally, everybody kind of has their own scares and stuff, but I thought it was at times a downright terrifying game. But the ghost was not scary.
No, not at all.
It's not scary at all. It's just.
Well, again, you know, he might have been a little scary if it wasn't like 100% possible to outrun him. Like, it would have been nice if maybe he could have caught up with you. I mean, as a ghost too, you know, he doesn't just walk through the doors. I think there were times that he would just, like, his cloud would go in through the bottom of the door. I mean, you had ample time to run away from him.
Yeah. Well, that's because technically, Anthony, it's not a ghost.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't he like... well, let's not give away any spoilers. Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? It was not that well explained, and that's another problem I had. The story, like you said, a little bit underwhelming. Could have been a little bit more there. But, I don't know. What do you think? You got anything else to add?
Yeah, as far as those documents and the story goes, for those of you that don't know, there's little documents that you can pick up that basically give you kind of a insight to the backstory of the game, you know, what's going on inside the asylum and whatnot. Unfortunately, a lot of the documents are loaded with medical jargon or next to nothing. Most of the documents that were fun to read were where doctors would talk about their interview with a patient, and those were really fun to read, and there were not enough of those. Yeah. And to go further into that, there needed to be more characters like that doctor.
Yeah, yeah.
That doctor is like, and the butcher guy, the guy Iraqi dude.
Yeah, I wish I remembered all their names.
Yeah, I mean there's like maybe a total of, oh yeah, and the guys that are naked.
Yeah, it just adds this cool element where, like, you spend the game getting chased around by, like, the big guy, the doctor, those two guys with their wieners hanging out, you know, and you know, you just get to know them. Not that you really want to, but it's interesting, you know, when you pick up those documents, it's like their medical charts and explaining their history. That's really cool. But really, the overall plot of what's going on felt a little bit tacked on, and so did the ending with the ghost and everything. It's just like an excuse to end the game, basically. It's what it felt like. I didn't even really know what happened at the end. I don't want to give anything away, but that
ending was kind of confusing.
Yeah. So, for me, that about sums it up. Pretty good game. I would. Okay, what would you rate it, Anthony?
I don't really like rating games, but I guess if I had to rate it, I'd say about
to the decimal point. To the 10th.
About a 6.5, maybe a 7, because I mean the atmosphere really kind of saves it. Like that atmosphere really outshines most of the things about the game that weren't that great.
Yeah. Well, you got to pick one, 6.5 or 7.
Okay, all right, 7.
You're gonna make me look like an asshole because now I'm gonna do to the decimal point. Well, I'd give it, or to the 10th. I'd give it probably. I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to give it a 6.9.
Yeah.
It was good. It was worth, I would say worth about $10 maybe.
Right, yeah. I was just about to say, if you're on the fence about this game, just wait for a sale. October's coming up. There's probably going to be a spooky game sale, and Outlast will probably be on there. Yeah. It might be $5 to $10 cheaper, so... there is no replay value, by the way.
Oh yeah, so we didn't talk about that.
There is absolutely no replay value.
No reason to go through it again. It's kind of a one-time thing. Once you play it, I mean, you'll see what we mean. Because it's like I said, the gameplay is just so simple that there's not branching paths. There's one way to do everything, but it's good. It's a fun ride. It's a worthy survival horror game, and I'm really interested to see what they do next. So. Yeah, that's what I would give it. Any closing thoughts, Anthony, or is that it?
I'd say that's about it.
All right, guys. Well, it's been fun, and we'll see you guys soon.
Bye.